video with a 16 pump. That's because I'm making a couple of these and I got really ahead of myself with the 24 pump. So that one is already complete. So I just wanted to go ahead and wrap it up with the 16 ounce. We do have a code from the Stencil Magnolia, so you would be able to use code Michael10 at checkout. But we're gonna start with prepping and sanding our cup, making sure that, you know, we scuff it up really good so we can clean it up with 91% isopropyl alcohol. So you always want to make sure that you prep your cup really well. Then we're just gonna, you know, kind of wipe that down. You'll see in this next clip how much you pull off of the tumbler once you've like kind of prepped it. We're gonna take it outside and spray paint it. I don't know what the name of this spray paint is. I will tell y'all as soon as I can find the bottle. It's amongst all of my spray paints. But we are going to go in with some light spurts of spray paint on this cup. You're not going to be able to see any of the spray paint underneath any of the glitter that we apply. However, you still want to make sure you get a full coat. You don't see it in this video, but I do come back out and do a second round of spray paint just to make sure it's fully coated. But we're going to let that dry for a little bit, and now we're going to move on to our glitters. So we're going to start off with Christmas Town, back 9. We're going to go in with Dirty Martini. We also have Wicked, Goddess, which is a gold. This is a really pretty gold mix. And then Carpe Diem. You do not need all of these glitters to do this. I just had a bunch of green and I was working with greens this day. So I was just like, let's see how it's all gonna look mixed together. And they're all really pretty green, so why not? There's also a code for Peachy Olive glitters, which is where all these glitters are from. Using code Michael10, and that will be down in the link. I just, you know, pour a little bit in a cup. I'm not doing very much, but I'm pouring a little bit in a cup. And then you'll see me kind of like mix it up. So whenever you're mixing glitter, I will always start off with a little amount. Keep all the glitters that you're using in one specific area. So when it comes time, if you need to mix more, you can mix more and you know what glitters you use. So now we're going to go in with we're going to do an epoxy method or hang method. And what a lot of people call this is where you just apply the glitter. You don't do it while the cup is on the turner. So you just apply the glitter using epoxy. What we're going to be using is a equal parts A and B of Counterculture DIY's facet. It works really well. So you can apply your glitter with this. So you just want to make sure everything is fully coated. You see me dragging my hands across it several times, especially on that bottom part, because we have a tendency of forgetting the bottom. Then in the next clip, you'll see that we are adding the glitter. And how I apply the glitter to this, because like I said, when we were mixing the glitter, I didn't mix a lot. I'm not making a ton of these cups, so I'm just mixing enough glitter for what I'm going to need or use on this project. So I'm constantly spinning the cup as I'm sprinkling the glitter on it. So I'm able to use majority of what's in this cup to cover this tumbler. And then I just kind of dump the excess at the end. And there you go. It helps me to get better coverage as I'm spinning, to constantly be applying the glitter. So I just go in with a pair of scissors and just tap off the excess glitter. We're going to do the same thing that we did before, using parts A and parts B equal parts. If your parts A and parts B are not mixed well and when I say mixed well, you want to make sure you get all of the streaks out of your epoxy. because if you applied epoxy to your cup, it is not going to cure with those white streaks in it. So you want to make sure it is as clear as possible. You also don't want to be stirring your epoxy and you're like stirring it super fast. So in this video, you're gonna see that I'm like, it looks like that popsicle stick is moving really fast. However, the video is sped up. But I am indeed whipping the epoxy, and then you want to make sure you get the edges and the bottom. So with each stir, as you see how I kind of slowed down my stirs, I'm scraping the side, but I'm also spinning the cup that I'm mixing my epoxy in. We're gonna now apply it. This is going to be our top coat before we apply any decals to it. So next we're going to go into sanding it down really good, because I just did like 2 coats on it, and then we're gonna sand it. We're gonna sand the edges really well, because most of the cup that you're gonna see is going to be spray painted, and whenever you spray paint a tumbler, if you've put epoxy under it, peekaboo, whenever you spray paint a tumbler, you're always going to be able to see any imperfections on it. So you want to make sure that it's sanded down really well before you move into your next step. So we're going to sand this down, get the edge, the top edge, and the bottom edge, and then we're going to move into our decaling process. This file for the decal will actually be linked in our files, so you will be able to have access to this. But it's just a quick, simple file that I put together for you guys, so that it would make it a little bit easier for you to use. Just kind of pull everything off, make sure everything stays intact. You'll notice that I kind of peeled back a couple of them just because they didn't fully weed when I pulled the top piece off, but that's fine. But these are little Christmas trees. They're not the same exact Christmas trees that I used on the original cups that I made last year. However, I wanted to make sure you guys had access to the same exact ones that I was using. So we're going to peel them off one by one and just add what we need. Now, like I said before, you're probably going to see a couple more that we didn't use. Those are being used on another tumbler like this. So I just cut out a little bit more. So we're just going to apply it on. You always want to make sure you have a scraper tool. As a crafter, you guys all know that we can never find the tools that we need when we need it, and at that time I couldn't find one to apply that vinyl down. So that's why I'm kind of rubbing it in with my finger, because the only one that I could find is actually what my tumbler is laying on. So we're just gonna go in one by one and apply these. This part was really fun, but very tedious, because this gives you the opportunity to kind of lay out how you want the trees to be added or applied on the cup. So I wanted to go with, an option that had the cutout in the middle, but I also wanted to go with an option that had smaller ones, but bigger ones and medium-sized ones. So we go around the entire cup just to make sure all of them are applied. Me moving the scraper tool over to the side is just out of frustration, because it kept moving. It was not working in my favor this day. So I was just like, whatever, I'll just move it out of the way, make it a lot easier for myself. And then that part is all done. So we can go ahead and take it outside and we can start our spray painting process. Um, this was the part when I first made these cups that excited me the most, because it really started to kind of bring my vision of what I wanted the cup to look like to life. So I'm just taking it outside using two-time Ruestoleum matte white, um, or Ruestoleum 2 times matte white, however you say it. And I'm just gonna spray this down. Now the reason why I base coated it white is because that metallic, I found that metallic spray paint runs a lot. And I'm also very heavy handed, so I wanted to make sure that there was no runs. And I did this when I released these cups back in the summer as well, and it worked really well for that spray paint. I want to say the pink that I just used is called Peak Peony, I think, or Rustic Pink, something like that. But I'm going to drop the colors that I used for that one, because that one I didn't get a recording of either. When I went to pull the vinyl on this, for some reason, the vinyl lifted, and I think that's primarily because um, it did not dry completely how I thought it did. So I was my timing was way off with peeling the vinyl off of this. I should have waited a little bit longer, but I didn't. But I'm just gonna go in. I sprayed a little bit of that spray paint into a cup. So I'm just gonna go in and dab it with a Q-tip. Next, we're gonna go in with a little bit of mica powder from Destin. We're gonna go in with a little bit of mica powder from NMO shop, so Nicole Moret's shop. It's called Destin. We're gonna mix it really well, because this is what we're gonna apply over this tumbler. Give it a little bit more sparkle in the areas that don't really have like full coverage. Like the bottom won't have full coverage or any glitter on it at all, so I want to make sure that I add some kind of sparkle to it, because I don't typically add any for this cup. I don't add any glitter on the bottom of it, so this will add like a little bit more razzle dazzle, you know. So then we're just going to apply this, and we're going to put it on the turner. Once it is done turning for about, I would say about 2 hours, I'll let it sit, just working on other things. I will go in and apply the decal. This decal I actually got from my mentor, CraftingByMayra, in her mentorship group. It's not going to be available right now, because we're in holiday season and all that stuff, but it's not going to be available right now at this moment. But I just wanted to let you guys know where I got it from. So we're going to just peel the backing off. This is Cricut vinyl that I'm using, the gold vinyl. This is literally the last bit, so I had to make it work for this cup. That gold vinyl is no longer being carried by Michael's anymore, which is where I got it. And then the pink vinyl is also from Michael. It's a Cricut brand. But I just overlapped it. I offset the SVG. It was already offset, but I made it a little bit smaller. And then I cut out these two little lines. You don't need this on it, but I feel like it kind of brought the cup together a little bit more. So adding these two additional lines, it really sealed the deal for me. So this part is a really important part anytime you are working with vinyl details. I'm using polyacrylic. We get it from Lowe's. I think Home Depot carries it, but I'm using polyacrylic. I usually use quick coat, but I ran out, so this was like the quickest thing that I can get. It's also really inexpensive as well. But you always want to make sure that you seal any glitters, any vinyls with polyacrylic or quick coat from CCDIY, because it will help it from not lifting. It will keep it from not lifting. Any of your vinyls that you apply, which these lines are really thin, it will not allow that to lift when it's sealed really well. So what I'll do is I'll let it sit for about 45 minutes, and then we'll go in with our next step, which is going to be epoxying our last our second to last layer of epoxy on this cup. Now when we apply the epoxy to this cup, we're going to do like a thicker coat this time, and we are going to just lather it up really well, because the next step is going to be us applying. So one of the last steps that we're going to do is we're going to add in Frosty. It is another glitter from Peachy Olive. We're just going to sprinkle it in there really nicely. Not a ton of glitter. Remember, I said there's nothing going to be added to the bottom. So with this, we are going to add one more coat of epoxy, and the cup is completely done. And this is how it turned out. If you guys like this, let me know. Like it below. Hashtag replay, all that stuff.